Project I'm going to talk to you today about is called Spartan Hollow. Spartan Hollow is a residential development about 2 miles south of the city of Solon. What you see over here is Dillon's Furrow Road. So the parcels that I'm working on is this one here and this one here. I can almost see the contours of it. Granted, I've been doing this for 14 years and I'm looking for access. I'm looking for site visibility, for turning movements. I'm thinking about zoning. I'm thinking about the neighbors. And a huge part of what we do at MMS Consultants is looking at topography. We call it topo. Our surveyors go out and they do what's a topographic survey, and they shoot in all the contours of the property.
So Spartan Hollow was a bit of a different site for us from a survey perspective because we used three main ways of gathering all the data. We used our typical way, which is using a total station, a GPS unit, which those two kind of go together. And then we also use LiDAR data, which we get from the county, where they fly it with the plane and use lasers to measure down millions of shots over top of the entire county, which isn't quite as accurate, but it works for getting preliminary data to get started. And then to supplement all of that, we used a drone and photogrammetry to take further data on the site.
This is a ridge. We like to put the roads up on the ridges because it's easier to make the water go downhill. You never want a bunch of water going towards your road if you can avoid it. This right here is a creek. So when I see that creek, I know I can't impact that with the ordinances. And to give you an idea of how many rules that I'm looking at, this book right here, this is just Johnson County. This does not include the DNR regulations that we have to follow, SUDAS, and SUDAS stands for Statewide Urban Design and Specifications. And then we also have to use Iowa Stormwater Management Manual. And when you can put the road up on the ridges, that makes it possible for us to create walkout lots. And the realtors and the builders love walkout homes. They're more valuable. It's easier to sell them. And we also try and look for ways where we're not moving a whole bunch of dirt. The more grading we have to do, the more expensive it gets.
The work in Spartan Hollow for me wasn't too different than what I've typically been doing. I've been doing a lot of grading projects and turning the grading into stormwater because it's kind of how our process goes with getting our pre-developed areas built out for county development codes and our stormwater requirements. And then you kind of have to work through grading the whole site out in order to get an idea of where your developed drainage areas are going, and then from there sizing ponds to fit in these different lots. And then I guess it's always nice with ponds is trying to figure out how to fit them in different places that look good, are accessible and useful for everybody in that neighborhood.
I know some people can't even really describe what I do. I do so much, so this project was not different in that sense because every day for me is different. I like construction. I don't know. There's just something about, homes and developments. It's where you live. It's where you spend your time, with your family. I think that's important that that's something that's done well. I can handle the coordination of them, making sure things get done and things get done on time. I deal a lot with coordination with the city and the county because this was a fringe project, so it had to go through both the county and the city of Solon in anticipation of it ever being annexed in. So I deal with that. I deal with utility companies, making sure they're getting satisfied with putting in utilities and easements and stuff like that. I deal with the clients, making sure they understand the process ahead of them when it comes to developing, as far as city comments and reviews and fees and kind of the administrative part of what gets their development through.
Spartan Hollow has multiple zonings on it. The southern part of it is your traditional residential type zoning, which is 1 acre or around about 1 acre. But on this particular subdivision, there's a new type of zoning called RUA. Basically, it means that we can go up to 4 units per acre. And our primary constraint on that is the septic systems. When we're doing developments in the county, we don't have sanitary sewer that we can just tap into and increase mass density. So we were limited a little bit, but we also had the ability to drop under an acre.
Definitely more upfront thought about septic than we usually do for like a residential subdivision. The way that the subdivision is structured, it's mostly 1 acre lots, and if you have a 1 acre lot, you can have your own private on-site septic. But for the lots that are less than an acre in size, which towards the north there's like this nice little cluster of smaller lots, those are less than an acre. So then we had to start looking at like shared septic systems. And so that was probably the most challenging part of the subdivision, was just getting that configuration to work out. Having pressure from the client and the project manager to get as many lots in as we could, but yet knowing we have constraints of the land and the topography and the way things work out to get things to actually fit in there. So it was a bit of a balancing act, but at the end of the day, I mean, everybody's on the same page. You know, we all want it to be successful and to work.
Remember how I was telling you how this is a low spot? Here's my ridge, 840. Here's my low spot, which is 800. All of this water, we're going to direct this and capture it and treat it. And what that's going to look like is a big pond right there. Now, a lot of engineering firms have landscape architects, and you may wonder why we have landscape architects. Landscape architects put nice undulating lines on it. It looks more natural, and it looks like something you want to live next to as opposed to a wastewater lagoon. For the average city council person, board of supervisors, neighbor, they look at this and they see a bunch of lines and they don't understand what all these lines mean. So we can create 3Ds of what the developments look like. And that brings all those lines and scribbles, that brings it to real life, and then they understand it better.
I took, I think, LiDAR contours and got an aerial, draped that on the LiDAR. So I started modeling the site sort of as design was going on, laying out the pedestrian trails. It just needs to look like a place you'd want to live.